Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Dad Speak, a show where real dads share their stories about being present in their child's lives with the goal of raising responsible adults. I am your host, Sarah McClure, and my guest today is Schuyler Epperson. Schuyler and I met at work many years ago. He is a Detroit police officer and proud dad of 3 boys. I'm going to be talking to him about raising 3 young boys with the goal of making them responsible men. Welcome, Schuyler. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Sarah. It's my pleasure.
Okay. I start off with your background, just some little basic questions. So, in what city did you grow up?
Detroit, Michigan, born and raised.
All right. What school did you go to?
I started off for elementary. I went to Edmondson. From there, I went to James Cousins Middle School. From there, Detroit Northern High.
Oh, graduate of Northern. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
99
So,
Jayhawks.
oh, excuse me. Okay. Do you have any siblings?
No, I'm the only child.
Wow. Okay. So did you have little cousins or anybody that you grew up with, or were you a real only child?
I had 2 cousins that were pretty much kind of in and out of my household from time to time, if they were living with us or not. But other than
Boys
that,
or
yeah,
girls? Boys or
a boy
girls?
and a girl, boy and a girl.
Oh, okay, so you got the experience of having a little sister around that got on your nerve and spend more time in the bathroom than most people do. You had that experience?
You know what? Portia wasn't like that actually.
Really?
Nah, she wasn't like that. But the get
Oh,
on your nerves part, yeah, they both, yeah, they there was some
so
trying
you're older
times
than
in there.
them?
Yeah, I'm older than both of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So what did your parents do for a living?
Well, my mom, I wasn't really tight with my mother, my birth mother, so she was kind of in and out the penitentiary throughout my life. But my grandma and grandfather raised me, so that's what I call mom and dad. So henceforth, that's what I refer to. That's what I'm referring to. So mom, she was a homemaker slash a maid. She worked for various people, cleaning and whatnot. And my grandfather, he was a certified welder for Ford Motor Company and a certified and a licensed barber.
Okay. What do you know your biological dad?
No, I don't. I don't know my biological father. My grandfather, that's the alpha and omega. That's dad. So
Okay.
he was
So
there from three.
did you have uncles and aunts? Your mother had brothers and sisters?
Yeah, my mother did. She had 2 brothers, 1 sister. We were a relatively small family, really
Okay. Did you
small.
know them?
So yeah, I knew them. Yep.
Okay. All right. Did you have any close relationship or no with your uncles
With my
and aunts?
uncles and aunt. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Oh,
Well, with one, you know what? With 2 of them, one of them was kind of strange, but yeah, the other 2, my aunt Marion, rest her soul, and my uncle Sammy, rest his soul, because they passed, gone on to glory. Yeah, we were very tight with them. Yeah, my uncle
oh,
Stacy, I really didn't. He didn't come around too much. So
okay. Now, whose portion, I guess her brother, whose kids are they? Your uncles or your
that's my
aunt?
uncle Sammy. My uncle
Oh,
Sammy.
okay. So
My aunt
your
Marion never had any kids.
Oh, okay. So when you were young, what kind of activities did you guys do as a family? What did your grandma and grandfather do, or your mom and dad do, I should say?
Activity wise, I mean, we would go to the movies. She would take me to little shows sometimes. Other than that, I mean, I was like your average kid. I love to go outside. Love to be
Hmm.
outside. Rain, sleet, hail, snow. Even the snow. The plow would come around. That was the greatest too. When they would make the hills of snow. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's not like now. We love being outside. So
So did you
that
have a
was
sled and you took your sled outside? You have snowball fights, stuff like that?
not a sled, but we did. Oh, snowball fights, absolutely. Couldn't afford no sled.
Well, we used to get cardboard boxes too.
Now that you know what, you're right. Yeah, yeah. Cardboard boxes, tear them up and hold them at the front by your feet.
Right. And
Yep,
make a
and go on down.
and make a sled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you graduated from Northern. So what did you do after high school? Did you get a
Well,
job?
technically, I didn't. I did not finish at Northern. I actually finished at Crosman Alternative. So I wound up having a few issues because actually I bounced around to a couple different high schools, Sarah. So I
Okay.
went to North. I briefly went to Cass Tech, got kicked out. Then wound up
Can
in
I ask
Northern.
why?
Yeah, just always been smart, but just if you don't keep my attention, I was kind of rambunctious. I'll be all over the place. So just being a knucklehead, short version, being a knucklehead. So
So you went to Crossman, but you graduated from there.
yeah,
And what did you decide you were going to do after high school?
I pretty much knew then I wanted to be the Detroit police. Actually,
Are you serious?
kid you not, it goes
What?
all the way. That's what
What?
made me, because I dropped out actually briefly for a moment, Sarah. That's what made me go back when I wanted to try to apply for Detroit police, and I found out that you had to be a graduate. Duh, right? And I was like, oh, I got to get back in school and get some
Wow.
stuff together.
So
So
were there
yeah,
officers in your school that you looked up to, or what made you want to be a Detroit police officer? What happened? What experience did you have?
actually, no, it was not our school resource officers, which Northern and Crossman did have resource officers, but it wasn't them actually. They were okay, but it was actually a friend, Carlton Coleman. He was the boyfriend of one of the girls I was dating at the time. And he went out for it, and I was kind of close to him. So when I saw it up close and intimately, it was like, oh, yeah, I want into this. I like this, you know. So it
So
just would take a long time to get there. That's all.
what appealed to you about being a police officer? What?
Well, I love my city. I love my city. I love conversing with people. I love talking to people. I love helping people. I know it sounds a little cheesy, maybe trite, but I love helping people. I don't like bullies. I've never liked bullies. So even my name itself, your producer was asking about the spelling of the name. Schuyler, and just give a quick lesson real quick, is
Okay.
Dutch in origin, right? And it translates to the scholar, the teacher, or the protector. It just depends on how it's applicable. So it's
Okay.
funny in different ways, and you've seen different ways working side by side with me. I wear one of those titles, or sometimes all three titles at the same time. So it just depends. So the name itself translates to the protector, the scholar, or the teacher. So I think it was just always in my nature, but I always, it's like just, I love my city. I love the citizens. Always have. Always have.
So your name is appropriate for who you are and what you do. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So you didn't go to the police department at 18. What did you do prior to you finally getting to be that police officer? What kind of careers did you have?
All right, so we'll start. So after coming out and finally finishing, I was working at a youth program actually, Detroit Yo program, Youth Opportunity Movement program. They had two offices. One was in the old Samaritan Center over on Connor, and then the other one was over on Porter Street between Trumbull and Rosa Parks. And we dealt with at risk youth between the ages of 13 to 17, sometimes 18. And we
Okay.
had partnerships like with Sarah Metro and La Said and different other partnerships that did like apprenticeships and would come in, and it was like kind of like we had all types of partnerships actually. And we just dealt with keeping them out of trouble. So it was like a youth center and come there. We had youth activity specialists. We helped them with getting, a lot of them didn't have GEDs, so they were helping with getting enrolled into those types of programs or getting back in school if they were able to do that, going back and finishing for high school diplomas. You had some helping with housing, things like that. We had connections with Alternatives for Girls, Job Corps, all types of programs actually. And I was a youth. I started out as a youth. I was a recruiter at first for the program. Then I graduated to youth activity specialist. So I would work there from '01 to '06. It was around the time when George Bush Jr. started pulling all the funding from city programs and stuff. And we got caught up in that funnel and lost the funding for the program, and everybody was laid off, and the program was shuttered. From there is where it takes a funny turn. So I like doing that. Then I started getting into security because it was easy to do. So a lot of club security in and around downtown. So any club you could think of, pretty much I bounced that down
Oh,
there. And that led into me going from being a club security and bouncing at various bars and clubs. What's that? The Garden Bowl, the Fillmore when it was in transition from State Theater,
yeah.
uh, Legends. Anywhere you could think of downtown, Sarah. I
You was
bounced.
there.
I was there, or knew people real close was there. And from there,
Uh-huh.
it was actually working at the State Theater, where it was the Fillmore at this point. It was some guys who used to come in. One of them was an ex police officer, actually, Damon Moore,
Okay.
ex retired DPD, and he
Mhm.
worked for Loomis Armored out of Highland Park. And I was like, well, one man working on the armored cars. So pretty much from there, that takes me to about '06 when I got laid off, bouncing around playing a security game. to about '08, where I picked up working at Loomis Armored, that was then located in Highland Park on the money trucks. So picking up the money from the banks, the Federal Reserve, different businesses in and around the state. I did it for about '08 to maybe 12 or 13 there. Then I went out to Livonia doing the same job for Garter Armored, which paid a lot more. So I went out there to about 2016. From there, that's where it picks up with me meeting y'all over at DMC,
Okay.
Police Authority. And then from
Yeah.
there, of course, I left, went to
Yeah. You
Detroit
you ran
Transit
away
Police.
on us.
Well, some say I jumped off the ship just in time, but it depends on how
Yeah.
you look at it. That's subjective.
But you knew that you want to be DPD.
Oh,
All the
absolutely. I had tried out way back in 2000 when I initially finally graduated. I tried and I missed it. It was the Malazzi. It wasn't the MCOS test. It was then the Malazzi.
right.
And you said take it down at downtown headquarters, if you remember, in the gym. And I
Right.
remember taking it. I took it then, and I failed horribly.
Which
But
part?
huh?
Which
Oh well,
part?
it was scored different. The way the Malazzi was set up, if you remember, you could
Yeah.
suck in one thing but make it up in other areas.
Right.
Well, I kind of equally sucked for the most part in all areas, so I wasn't able to pick up the points needed. So that day, I kind of remember walking home. I was crying. I didn't even want to ride home. I walked back home. I just walked and
What?
cried because my feelings were so hurt because I wanted it so bad. But I can honestly say,
Yeah.
looking back at it now, I'm glad I didn't get it. So what they say, delay doesn't mean denial necessarily.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
glad I didn't get it then, Sarah, because I'd have tore it up. My attitude and I wasn't ready. So
Okay.
I wasn't ready.
Glad you know. Okay. All right. So you you finished working at you ended up working at DMC. So you were pretty happy, but you had already got your family in between working as a bouncer and all of that, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the family comes in pretty much in the Garter days. In between
Okay.
Garter and DMC is where, yep, the family starts to really, it comes into play.
So you knew you wanted to be a Detroit police officer. When did you know you wanted to be a dad? Get
Oh, I
married?
never wanted to be a father or married. I never saw it, honestly. So
Really?
yeah, I mean, even though
So how did
I
you
would
meet your
pray.
wife? How did she change your mind?
The story of me and my beautiful wife, Letitia, it was funny. I wound up meeting her at a barbershop on a Sunday. I never went to the barbershop on Sunday because I missed my haircut on a Saturday, actually. And
Okay.
my barber wouldn't be open on a Sunday, but this particular Sunday because he was just catching some of the clients that missed. So he called me and said, "Hey, I know you missed your appointment because I had a standing every week appointment." And he's like, "I know you missed it. You want to, you like to stay groomed." So I was like, "Yeah, I'll come on up there." So when I went in, she was sitting there. She was sitting there with her then 3-year-old son, our now 14-year-old son. So
Okay.
we have two biologically and one I've raised since 3. She was sitting there with Braylon. And I remember it was funny because I walked in, I seen her, I noticed her. And I just kind of started talking smack, doing what men do. You get rare for like a peacock puffing out my feathers, just doing what I do, being real silly and just,
You made her laugh though.
yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We got to this point, this point, but that's what it was. I got her to laugh. We got to talking. I asked her to go on a date. And I remember a couple of times she's like, "I ain't going out with you. I ain't going on no date with you. And oh, you going out with me, So why don't say the numbers?" And we would talk, and I mean, we would. Lord, we could talk. I mean, it was times we would talk from something. Literally, when we got off work to a time, it was time for us to start our shift, the next shift. Kid you not, we would talk that much. So I mean,
Oh,
we had
nice. Wow.
a great relationship communicating. And she came to me at a time where I was in my life. I wanted change. Like I had been through a lot at this point, and it was like I wanted to do things different and wanted to be different. So I think that I know for a fact that helped it along a lot. Yeah.
Okay. So how long after did you decide, yeah, I think I want to be with her for the rest of my life? After, was it a week? Was it a month? Did it take you a year to decide?
Probably about a year because it was like we were going strong and I had a little mess in my background I needed to clean up. So and that's the thing about me and her. At the advent of us, the start of us, I was brutally honest about everything. So
Okay.
something had some ugliness kind of reared its head. I had to step back away from the relationship for a minute to kind of figure some things out. And I didn't want to hurt her and get her tangled up in all the crap. Well, suffice it to say, once I figured out that crap and crud, I went and found her. Like I went and found her. Like okay, like because I think it was like my birthday or something had passed, and I hadn't heard from her or something. And that's how it started back. The conversation had started. I'm like, hey man, wow, like is that bad? You didn't call and wish me happy birthday or say nothing or nothing like that. And she was like, no, I just wanted to give you a space and all that. And then from there, it was kind of like, all right, we picking back up. And
Okay.
then she yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you went on that. You guys have two more boys. Were you trying to get a girl?
She was. If I could be brutally honest, I was just trying to climax, Sarah. That's all I was trying to do. Like, if I could be, if I could be, if I could be, if I could be honest, Sarah. Now, if you would
You
be
are
honest
being
on the
honest.
show, yeah. I mean, cause we ain't gonna lie to the people, Sarah. You know, hey,
Right.
listen.
Right.
So no, that it was that was never planned or in the plan. It's just it's with God. That was God's plan. Please see that way. But no, we had never really. I think we did discuss marriage and kids, but I think we both were at the place at the time. We was like, yeah, we ain't gonna rush it. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna rush the marriage thing. So that was never a thing where it was like one of us wanted to get married, and the other one was just waiting in limbo. It was like, no, we were actually on one accord about the marriage. The kids again, that was just yeah, Sarah. That was yeah, yeah. So yeah. But
Okay.
funny enough, Sky Jr., the middle one, our
Uh-huh.
first one biologically together. It's really we don't have enough time on this for this, but me and you will talk about it, offline. It's a hell of a story to all of this. Like we're really skimming and missing a lot of parts, but there's so much to this. But with Sky, it was like that one. I always credit and tell people that he actually that event, her getting pregnant with him actually saved my life, and that's not like people say that no, like literally, that event single-handedly saved my life because I was in a really dark, hurtful place because all
Okay.
my family was gone at that point. I had buried everybody. So when she
Wow.
came back into my life, it was like that's actually how she wound up coming back and we wound up catching back up to each other. And we been dating and messing around, and it was like I never forget. It was like near the end of the year, end of 2014, actually. Um, or like the beginning of 2014, somewhere around there. In the 2014, something like that. And I'll never remember because from the time of date of conception, if you go back look at it when we actually Sky was conceived, it was like yeah, we were kind of. I was in a funny place, and she had actually reached out to me and was like, "This, I was thinking about you," and I was like, "It was just funny how the timing worked." I remember when she got pregnant. I remember she called me. And you know, what men we can be real silly with things, especially when it's gaps. You know, what men are when there's gaps in relationships. And I remember her calling. She said, "Yeah, well, I'm pregnant," and I was like, "Okay, you sure it's mine?" Type rhetoric. And she's like, "Oh yeah." She's like, "Oh, I'm sure it's yours. If you want, we can go right on down and get blood tests. Anything you want to do." But she's like, "Yeah, it's all you." And it was funny, like I said, 'cause I was in a really hurtful place. I mean, I was hurting really bad, Sarah. And I remember that event was like, okay, maybe pump the brakes in because I was thinking really stupid, about doing some really brash, like what they say, a permanent solution to temporary problems without. And I was like, okay, I'll just chill out for a minute. And I kind of rode that wave, being there and being next to her side, going to the appointments. It was never funny because our birthdays just passed actually. October 3rd is mine. Well, he came on October the 4th, so that single handedly, I I had a great conversation with God that day. I was like, okay, I hear you, I hear you. Harken to that. I understand. I have purpose now, and man must have purpose, and
Right.
that gave me purpose. And ever since then, I haven't looked back. So yeah,
No more dark days, huh?
no more dark. I mean, you had your moments. That's
Well,
anybody, but
yeah,
no,
you have
no
a
more
moment,
dark.
but not
Yeah,
the whole day.
no, not dark
You can have
days.
a moment, a
No,
second, an hour, but never the whole day.
yeah, never. Yeah, no
There,
more dark days.
there you go.
Thankfully,
I-
no more dark
Yes,
days.
yes, 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 yes. So now you said you weren't trying to have a girl, but maybe she was. So you
Oh,
got
she
your
definitely
third.
was.
So you
I
got
can't
your
miss with the
third son,
boys. Yeah,
huh?
huh? I don't
You
miss
got
with
your
the
third
boys.
son the next
Yeah, that
time,
was
right?
yeah. And I thought that was an April Fool's joke. I'm telling you, Sarah, none of this. Listen, She came in and said that to me. I kid you not, it was the 1st of April. So I'm thinking it
She
was a joke.
joking.
Yeah, whatever. And I remember going to sleep and I woke up later and I'm like, babe, did you come here and play a joke on me? Like, tell me you pregnant? She's like, oh, that wasn't a joke. And she just walked out the room. And she like, yeah, that wasn't a joke. And I mean, just nonchalant, just like, yeah, that wasn't a joke. Like, you keep thinking it's a joke because, she's like, maybe the day wasn't the best timing, but just how it played. But it wasn't a joke. And, lo and behold, December 16th of that year, Zaire made his debut into the world. So,
So you was
but
going
yeah,
to, could you go to appointments and stuff then, or were you working?
oh, we were together. Oh, yeah, we were full on together at that point. We were living together.
Yeah,
Everything.
but I was like, could
So,
you, you were making a point, you were actively involved in the pregnancy. Were you still able to make the hospital appointments, or was your job making you like, I can make this one, but maybe not the next one?
no, for the most part, DMC was pretty cool. So, we'll be working midnights too. So it never, that midnight, y'all, that midnight's my whole tenure. So it never played until anything had to do with her. And hell, I remember even when she went into labor, Tommy and them was cool enough. She called me. I'm like, I gotta go. She about to have a baby. And Tommy was like, yeah, go ahead and get out of here. You know what I'm saying? So I hurry up, rushed on to Henderson Township, then got over to Novi at Providence Park. So I was like, yeah, no, it was all, the job was always supportive. And, it was some great people. I think at the time we were there, I had a lot of great people. Y'all were great support system. So that was never an issue. Thankfully, it was never an issue.
Okay. All right. So do you think if you having fun with your boys, do you think you would have had just as much fun if you had had 3 girls?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So why do you think girls would be just as much fun as the boys?
Well, because just like and I noticed it with the 3 little knuckleheads in the house. For boys, the first woman we fall in love with is mom, and I can see it all day. And for girls, typically the first man they fall in love with is dad. So I believe that the same relationship that they have with her and that own little funny way they would have with me versus that. Then it's this thing too. It's this dynamic sometimes in the black, and it could just be all ethnicities, but I've only really experienced in the black household, black culture. It seems like with men, we will raise our sons and love our daughters, just like the women will love their sons and raise their daughters, if that makes sense.
It makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? So it's this type of thing, like, because I jokingly always tell my wife, I say, you an all day sucker, and they know it because they'll play on her in ways they don't dream of
with
messing with me. So I'm like, yeah, you like that old Tootsie Pop commercial, 1, 2, 3. Like they know you all day sucker. So we joke about that all the time. So
that's cute. So what did you play as a child? What kind of games or what kind of stuff did you do when you were a kid and growing up that your kids don't have now? Like you say, you went outside, you love being in the snow. Can you think of some activity or something that you did as a kid that your kids don't have now?
Well, just because of just technology, Sarah, seriously, they don't like to go outside. Like kids, it's not like when we came, like for instance, I was taking the boys to get haircuts and we were driving down 7 Mile and they're all on their tablets and cell phones. And one of my boys was like, Dad, when you was a kid, what games did you have on your cell phone? I damn near crashed the car on 7 Mile. So I'm like, what? Like, what games? There was no cell phones. Like, you had to be ultra filthy rich. And if you did, it was a bag phone the size of a luggage. What you had, we had no cell phones and no video games.
Their response when you told them there were no cell phones and no tablets.
Because that's all they know. They grew into that. So this is their reality. So it's unfathomable to them that this crap, all this here, didn't exist. Like they can't believe that this stuff didn't exist. So when you say it's almost, I think now we're opposite ends of the spectrum, Sarah. When you look at children and the youth of the day versus how we came up,
right?
We didn't have the luxuries that they have now and the technology and all this crap. So we had to go outside. It was either you sit in the house watching cartoons and nobody really, that was rainy day stuff. I remember having a Nintendo. That was a rainy day thing. We didn't, even though we had Nintendos, we wanted to we get on our bikes and hey, you be back when the sun the street lights come on. Now maybe come out there and be yelling your name or it's gonna be a problem, And even then, it was like we still didn't want to come. Can I get a few more minutes, please?
Right.
We were begging to stay outside. It was torture to make us be in the house where it seemed like that is totally flipped. So when you say that, it's like such a dynamic shift. It's kind of hard to compare a little bit our childhood to what they know is what their childhood reality is now, because we didn't have any of this stuff,
So they do a lot
none
of
of it.
gaming.
Yeah, they. So my oldest has a PlayStation 5. He, of course, his face is always buried in his damn cell phone. Excuse the expletive, damn. But the two little ones have a PlayStation 5 in their room. They have two Nintendo Switches. They have two tablets. To which, yeah. So, and then my now 8-year-old just came to me talking about, "Hey, Dad, when can I have a cell phone?" I was like, "No time soon. No time soon. No time soon." Because his response is like, yeah, because some of the other kids at school, man, they're in the second grade. Some of them have cell phones.
Okay.
I remember sneaking a beeper into school, and the principal called my grandma, and I got in trouble and suspended for 3 days. A beeper, Sarah, a beeper that didn't even work, by the way. I was just perpetrating a fraud, and I got suspended. These kids openly have their devices, and this is a way of life now. So,
Well, I do understand some of it because they have single parent homes. Mom is at work and somebody else is picking them up or dropping them off. And the only way they can stay in contact with them is through their cell phone. But of course, you can't give a kid a toy like that and say it's only used for emergency purpose. That's like, let this bowl of candy sit in front of you, but don't eat it until you're hungry. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Yeah.
I think we're bringing ourselves to ruin with all this stuff, especially with these kids. Like, it's just like, to me, sometimes, and it's just my opinion, so it's not right or wrong, Sarah. It's almost like giving the child a loaded gun sometimes with the stuff that they can access now. And they're
Right.
privy to viewing, and and like you said, what is being, everybody's so busy working now because that's just the way life is. Teamwork makes the dream work. The days are just me working and her staying at home, and when I get home, her only job was to tell me which one of them she almost killed. Damn near. Yeah, them days over with. It's
Right.
like, and we
Right.
all got to hustle and grind in the house to make this thing work. So yeah.
So what about books and stuff? Do they read books or do they read everything on their tablets? Is that
Well,
some?
actually, Sky and Zaire, we have a little bookshelf actually set up in their room with some, and they will come at night and want me or my wife to read books. Um, Bray, of course, been in high school. He just started ninth grade at Chippewa Valley. Um, he's always in the homework, but typically, yeah, only when they're in trouble and they can't get on nothing else, I punish them with books. Sad to say, I
Yeah.
punish them with making them read. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just dreadful. That's worse than a butt whooping in this day and age. That's worse, 3 butt whoopings. Take them devices. Oh, you get their
Yeah.
undivided attention. So, but they will every now and again. I can honestly say, like whether it be comic books or different types of literature, yeah, they sometimes will indulge because they see me like I'm really not the biggest on TV. I like to read a lot. As I've gotten my older years, funny because I was younger like them, I wouldn't touch a book. But now a lot of different books I found myself wanting to read, and I'll read anything I can get my hands on. So that's weirdest thing is getting older and maturing, I guess. And just seeing the value in certain things, and it's like because it's like I remember a day, and I know you remember this before the advent of all this crap. We were
Right.
so much sharper. I could remember 30 numbers by heart.
Yes.
I don't even remember my wife's number now. This thing is really dumbed us down.
Yeah.
Like I used to like because you had a pocket full of change. There was a payphone in the corner.
Right.
You better remember somebody's number. Or you ain't getting in touch with nobody. You had to make a collect call. Like so. But now it's like with this, everything is we run around with pseudo laptops.
Right.
So it's like yeah, and this dumbed us down. I think, and just my opinion, not right or wrong, but it's like
Well,
yeah. I remember my wife's number.
I have to agree because a relative he got locked up for something, tickets or something. It was a mistaken identity. They took his phone. His sisters and brothers were looking for him. They could not find him. And on the third day, when he went in front of the judge, they found out it wasn't him. They released him. He got his phone back and he called. And they said, "Why didn't you call us?" He said, "Because I don't know none of y'all numbers."
His
And
numbers.
they took my phone. I said, "I guess he gonna memorize numbers now." Yep. At
I've
least
left out for duty before, Sarah, and left my duty weapon and didn't leave my cell phone. And you would
wow.
think I would want the gun more than I want the cell phone, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's just what I'll say that to illustrate. That's just the illustrative point. that's just where we're at now. That's what it is. The sign of the times, so to speak. That's where we at.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you say you like to read. Did you read as a child? Did you have a favorite book or something? You know,
Absolutely not.
no.
Other than school, if it wasn't for for school, yeah, fat chance. I wasn't picking up no book, and really didn't want to do it in school. I'm just gonna be
Oh,
honest with you.
wow.
God, like, yeah, I was a piece of work coming up. I was. Yeah, I was more than a notion, and
Well,
I know you hear me speak. Well, you hear me speak very highly of my grandparents, which I always raise them up. I always will. But the fact of the matter, all my family was crack addicts and substance abuse addicts, alcoholics. So I was allowed to slip through a lot of cracks, and that's what brings us to the dropping out and not. And I was allowed to kind of left to my own devices, so to speak, sometimes when I shouldn't have been. Even though I still think they did a great job for the demons and the vices they had on, they did an excellent job, and I always honor them. But if we get down to it for real, it was like a lot of things they wasn't because they had those demons they were dealing with and wrestling. So it was kind of like they would make sure I had the basic necessities, but some things I slipped through some cracks along the way. Yeah, so.
yeah. So, like, you didn't read books, but did you have a favorite toy or something? I mean, they did supply you with toys,
Oh
and
yeah, absolutely.
so did you have a favorite toy? And did you try to tell your
Yeah.
kids about what you used to play with, as opposed to Nintendo or I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what are those Xboxes and all that? Could they relate to the type
Well,
of
now,
toy?
yeah, they can because you know what? History just repeating itself right now.
Okay,
I just was talking to my wife about this, Sarah.
okay,
They're crazy about Ninja Turtles. I remember when Ninja Turtles was out for us. They like Power Rangers. Some of the things that we do relate. I'm like, oh yeah, that was out when I was a kid.
yeah,
That was out when I was a kid. Like I just bought, the Michelangelo out. One of them likes Michelangelo, the other one was like Leonardo.
okay,
So it's yeah. So with the toys, yeah, GI Joes. History is just repeating itself. It just seems like each generation is putting their own stamp on it somehow,
oh yeah,
some way. So yeah, so like when I like GI Joes, Ninja Turtles, Power Ranger toys. Oh yeah, that was it with the Kung Fu grip. Oh, absolutely. All the points of articulation that you could do, bend it,
right,
and oh yeah, you sneak them into school because you once had toys. You sneak one GI Joe in your pocket to school.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, so now I was just telling my wife, literally, history just repeating itself. There's nothing new under the sun.
right,
Nothing. Because now, I was like, I know we getting old, babe. All this stuff being recycled now. Damn, like, well, we done. It's over. Like, all the stuff is coming back around again. All of it, literally. All the toys, even the cartoons. It's just
mhm,
better technology, so they may look a little different now, cell
right,
shading or 3D animation or whatever. But the concept is still the same. So to see them be crazy about Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, GI Joes, all the stuff I grew up with,
right.
it's like wow. So that is a connection throughout time, so to speak. Where the technology wasn't at all, but the toys, absolutely. The toys, yeah. So those things I can relate.
So when you were growing up, did you have a big Christmas, or I mean, because you're an only child, were you like bombarded? Did you get everything on your Christmas list, or
No, it was some Christmases I didn't get anything at all. And I remember sitting in the
really?
window. This is when I still believed in Santa Claus ignorantly. And I remember sitting in and you don't know as a child. And that
Right,
goes back, speaking back to the vices they had. Sometimes Christmas money would get, used up for other things. And I remember quite a few Christmas I didn't get anything. And I remember sitting looking out the window crying, thinking, why was I so forsaken, or why didn't Christmas, or why didn't nobody do anything for me? Not knowing that there was, wasn't Santa Claus or anything like that, just thinking like, man, why didn't nobody do anything for me? Like I remember those moments. Like, so no, I was lucky, but I never got everything. Like I remember, I think once, and my grandma would say that she always would bring that up in like a point of conversation. It's like when you were younger, you didn't ask so much and you got a lot. She's like, now you older, you want a lot and can't get little next to nothing sometimes. And I'm like, wow. So no, getting everything off my Christmas list, yeah, absolutely not. Like it
wow,
happened once when I was like maybe 3 or 4. And like I said, I didn't ask for much at all, but it just gave me a slew of stuff. But beyond that, nah, oh no.
wow. So you having Christmases where you didn't get anything you wanted. How does that affect you when it comes to your kids at Christmas? Do you go overboard, or do you realize that there's just so much they need? They don't need a whole lot, maybe 4 or 5 toys as compared to 10 or 20. You know what I'm saying? Do you go overboard, try to like kind of like make up so your kids don't feel the way you did when you were a kid? Those Christmases that you didn't get anything?
Well, one, I'll tell me and my wife it's something else we talk about. Breaking intergenerational curses. They'll never feel that or what it feels like not to get anything for Christmas. Ever. Now, my wife is again all day sucker in the house. It always starts out where we're supposed to only buy a couple of things, but Jesus Christ, by the time Christmas gets here, because we're not big on waiting to the last minute. So we
Right.
typically start shopping around now. Typically, actually a little behind the 8 ball, but we usually start September, October. So during the rat race season, I don't want no parts of that. So
Right.
it always starts with, yeah, we just gonna get, well, no, we're gonna get them a couple things. But next thing
Uh-huh.
I look up, it's like, yeah, each one of them got 10, 15, 20 things a piece. Like we have 2 Christmas trees in our house. Every year we have 2 Christmas trees. Why? Because we
Well,
got this.
that's okay. That's okay. But I'm just saying, are their toys up fully? Both of them got 20, 30 toys under them?
Okay, you gotta forgive me because I'm being threatened off camera. My wife came down to the kitchen and she told me, she's like, I'm standing right here, you bastard. So you better watch what you're saying. So forgive me. Forgive
Tell
me.
her to stick her head and say hi to the people.
Hey, come on, stick your head in, say hello to the people.
She
Yeah,
laughed.
come on. Yeah.
I'm just playing. She ain't got to identify herself. I'm just playing.
So I was being threatened off camera. Sarah, just
I know
keep
you
my
kept
speed
looking over
down.
your shoulder.
Officer down. Yeah, officer down. There's the all-day sucker has made the debut. Yeah, so what they say, call the devil, and they call the devil's name, he will appear.
You are bad.
But no, and we had that type of relationship. We laugh and joke and play all day.
As you
So
should. As you should.
that's what we do. So we
Yes.
have we joke and laugh all day. So that's yeah.
So your Christmas trees, both of them, you fill them up with presents?
Well, no, what it is like most black households, you always have a damn living room that even though you pay for everything in it, I'm not allowed or nobody's allowed to go in the damn thing. So she has a living room that I have couches I've never put my ass on, Sarah. So we put a big Christmas tree up in there, and nobody, you better not go in there because the alarm go off. If you do, she gonna come flying down the stairs. Now in the family room, we got the old cheap ass rinky dink Charlie Brown Christmas tree, from the Charlie Brown Christmas special, the one that she don't care if nobody drunk ass come over and knock it over or whatever, right? So that's what's in the family room, and we pack everything up under that one. But that was just for decorative purposes in the living room that nobody can go into. So that's the story of 2 Christmas trees. Yeah.
My gut hurts from laughing at you. I'm trying to get back to.
I know we're a little off skit right now,
No.
script, but I'm sorry.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Stop.
To your viewers and your listeners out there.
All right, so you buy a lot of presents, go overboard. So how did your financial situation growing up affect the way you handle money with your family? Because you say, Christmas, you want to make sure that they get enough. So how do you manage to not like overdo it when it comes to spending? Are you more cautious, or do you make sure I know you're a workaholic, so
definitely financially conscious. I have to be, because when you grew up, here's the fact: I grew up piss poor, Sarah. Like growing up in that, I grew up poor, like seriously. So you absolutely break, like what I always say, we're breaking, like the fact this house. I was the first one in the family to buy a house. Certain things my children will never experience, because it's like, but we try to not, like you said, not overindulge them too sometimes. Like, okay, listen, let's not overdo this, because that old adage where they say, how they say, a strong man makes easy times make weak man create hard times. It's just a cycle. So I kind of can see how that comes to be, because in our ability, because like I don't want to go back to that crap either. So by proximity, they're gonna live good just off that. But then those are my babies too. So like, yeah, you want to give them that's how I wound out wound up out in the suburbs where I am because like, well, the school system, because I love the city, but the school system was kind of crappy. So it's like, okay, I got to teach them early what I learned late. I had to give them all the opportunities and advantages that I never had. I
Right.
have to do everything to give them a chance. And even that still may not be enough, unfortunately, in this day and age. But I have to at least try. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Right.
why,
Right.
because if we never had kids, I still would stay in the city because it's like I love the city. But it was like, no, I had to come. So certain things, like, I jokingly told my son one day we was down in the city and was going to
Mhm.
get haircuts. And we were on Griggs and West McNichols. I was like, "Well, I'll kick you out this car, come back around here, you be naked. Like, you ain't about this life. Y'all don't know nothing. you, you you don't know nothing about this Detroit life. So man, chill out. You be butt naked. I'm talking even down to your underwear because you like fancy underwear. After because you be standing there butt naked. So I'm like, man, you gotta chill out. You ain't about this life. But it's seriously though, coming up in it, it's like you don't want to expose your children to it. So you automatically, I think sometimes we inadvertently start setting them up for failure sometimes in certain ways. It's like, well, you bring them out here to these nice neighborhoods supposedly and better school systems supposedly, and that can be debatable. And you start giving them everything that you didn't have. And I'm guilty of it because it's like, man, when you, like I said, certain pains and hurts, I don't want them to ever, not on my account, like I
Right.
experienced it on my mother and dad's account because of their vices. So yeah, I'm kind of the I would always jokingly tell my wife, like, yeah, she the jack off artist of the relationship. I'm the bean counter. Oh, hands down. Like, I'm the bean counter. So, yeah, I keep everything kind of running smooth and making sure everything all right and, making sure everything's budgeted and we're good and got headroom and playroom. Oh, yeah. And that's where the workaholic thing comes from, though, sir. Truthfully speaking, it's not because like, don't get me wrong, I love what I do. And my dad always said, you find something you love to do, you don't work a day in your life. So when you see me out there, it never feels like work to me, no matter how crappy the day is in the city. It never really feels like work because I love what I do. But all that extra work is making sure that you have those cushions and safety nets in place. That's what
Right.
that's about, and you have to in this day and age because everything we living through recession. I mean, we're living through inflations and recessions, and housing markets are doing this and tanking and coming back, and they're just playing with everything. So it's like I like to have those safety nets because I know what it's like not to have. And it's just like I said, I've been through a lot as a child, and if I can help it, if I can help it, I don't ever want them to have to experience that. Like I just wouldn't.
Did your parents ever get laid off while do you remember them ever getting laid, losing their job or anything, and you guys having to struggle a little bit?
Oh, struggle a little bit. We been evicted. I remember eating at soup kitchens around the city. You remember St. Dominic's over on Grand River and Warren, St. Leo's. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
St. Dominic's was at Trumbull and West
Right.
Warren. St. Leo's was at Grand River. And I remember saying, oh, the rescue mission. I remember plenty of times when it was time to go back to school. I wasn't going to school shopping for clothes. I was at the clothing closet on Third and MLK at
Right.
you know at the closing closet at the Detroit Rescue Mission, trying to pick through and find some stuff decent enough and stuff that I could fit or get close enough to fit to go back to school. So yeah, we definitely. When I tell you, like when I tell you I grew up piss poor, that's not a joke. That's not like me. Like I can tell you some stuff, Sarah. Like I said offline, we gonna have a real heart to heart. I can paint a picture for you. Like that's not a joke. Like oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So your kids never got to meet your grandparents, your parents, or
Unfortunately, they didn't. And that some days, try explaining life and death to a child. I'll never
right.
forget Schuyler Jr. came to me one day. It was actually I just closed on this house. It was 2020. October 8th, 2020, I closed on this house. So maybe about November, December. I remember my middle one came to me, Schuyler, and he's like, oh, he's like, where's my granddad, my grandma? They don't love me. I remember I had to turn my face because I started bawling because it hurt so bad. It was like it caught me it just caught me off guard. And then, like I said, try explaining that to a child, life and death. And it's like, no, and once I was able to compose myself, it's like, no, and he never knew I was crying, what I'm saying, because I hid it well. But once I was able to compose myself, I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, yeah, your grandparents love you very much. So it's just unfortunately not here. They passed away, they died. And you're trying to explain death to a child. And it's like, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, especially when you still emotional about it, because that's one thing I always like, man, God, I wish they were here for my dad to be able to tell me I understand. Now I get it. And to be able to talk to him through these frustrating moments I have, because parenting isn't easy at all. I think, we're teaching each other as we go. The kids learning from you, you learning from them. Yeah, I think I went from being one to it was instantaneous. When you talk about planning, that's why I was able to joke with it because like none of this was in the plans. I didn't think it had God had to dump it on me and surprise me and catch me off guard with a gut check because had he left it to me, you know, he left it. So oh yeah, God know what he's doing. I put it that way. That's why he had the helm because he had to. Because it's funny we always want things, and it's like, oh well, I want it, but you want to tell God how you want it, and it's like,
Yes.
no, because like if I took this out, took that out, I don't want to do this, I ain't going through that. But no, it don't work that way. So he had to gut check me. So you got to look. One day it was just me, Sarah, and it was like instant. I always joke, instant family, microwave. It was like
Yeah.
instantaneous. One turned into three, three turned into four, four turned into five, like that,
Right.
and I didn't have a clue as to what was going on. It was best that way because had it been up to me, yeah, I wouldn't have wrote the story that way, sir. I put it to you like that. So,
Oh,
but
so
yeah.
So do you have like a favorite story that you like to tell your kids growing up? When we were little, we were like, can we get a ride to school? Do you know I used to walk 30 miles to school barefoot, da 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 da. Your parents will tell you some crazy story like that. Or when we was kids, we just ate ketchup sandwich. We didn't have this. Do you have a story when they're getting out of order to my dad, I want this, dad, I want that? Is it something that you tell them to try to humble them and say, be thankful for what you got?
Oh, that story right there is timeless. I believe that has been passed down through the times. I think we all just kind of and
Uh-oh.
put our own. I'm with you. I'm still with you.
Yeah, you there.
I think we all exaggerate it in our own
Yeah.
way. Like I used to walk 15 miles to school, and yeah, I think we all tell some version of that. And yes, I have. The humble, like man, y'all just don't know how lucky y'all got it, man. Like y'all wasteful, and y'all this and that. I mean, my wife always say I'm always fussing, and I am. Because it's like I'll be fussing, and it's like I'll say no, and then I'll turn right around and do it sometimes, especially depending on what it is. But she like you always fussing, like it's like oh here you go fussing. So they always joking, running joke in the houses that I'm always fussing about something, and I probably am because it's like man y'all just so I'm like y'all so spoiled and just rotten and just y'all lazy, y'all the epitome of laziness. And it's just like I was y'all age, man. I couldn't do this. I didn't do that. I ain't had this and didn't have that. And I've been thankful. You come here talking about, a list for this. And it's like, so I think we all have our version of those stories, just like that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember, like, man, I had to eat a mustard sandwich one day, is what I told him. You know what I'm saying? But what was funny, Sarah, it wasn't a joke. Like, it wasn't nothing there to eat. And it was like, yeah, some wheat bread, and I put mustard on it, sandwiched it together, and I ate it. So I think it's a lot of, I think we sometimes learn to laugh and play with our pain a little,
Right.
but if you dig deep enough in it, it's some truth in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
Because
how
most
much truth
people
is in
have
it.
have a sugar sandwich or a mayonnaise sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't stand sugar water. My people used to do that a lot. So that
Hmm.
or the sugar water babies, I couldn't stand no sugar. Ooh, you talking piss me off quick? Some sugar water? And what's funny, all you just dump a pack of Kool-Aid and it's the same thing, truthfully. It's just the color and stuff. It's like that's all Kool-Aid is, sugar water, or that sugar you
Yeah.
put in it with some
Yeah. A
food
little,
coloring.
little
A
flavor.
little flavor, a little bit, but I couldn't stand like sugar water. And yeah, I remember them eating mayonnaise sandwiches and
Right.
oh yeah.
Good
Uh-huh.
old,
For me it was
good
a
old
mustard
day.
sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah. Good old
A
day.
mustard sandwich. I remember having the peanut butter from Focus Hope. So you couldn't spread that on no fresh
No.
bread. You had to toast it first. You have a peanut butter roll up wrapped around a butter knife. You wasn't that you wasn't spreading that on no fresh bread. Now you had toasted bread. You was good. You try to spread some Focus Hope peanut butter on some fresh bread. Oh, you gonna tear that bread all up before you get that made. That peanut butter jelly sandwich made. So yeah. So
All true. So true. So true. I can remember that. I can remember that. So, before you became a dad, what about being a father excited you the most when you learned you was gonna be a dad and it's finally settled in? What excited you the most about that? Learning that.
well, I was just glad to be here because, like I said, I was having dark days. I was glad just to be here, still on this side of the earth, and it was like I was scared as hell. Like, because up now to because I think my first one was at 33. Even though
Mm,
Bray, I've been in and out of his life and been raising him since 3. Biologically, I didn't experience what it was like to have Bray. But when I came into Bray's life, he was already 3 years old. So it was like I was scared as hell. I didn't know what to think. Like, oh, like man, then it's like somebody you couldn't like. because it's been times before where you were with different young ladies and something was a mistake and maybe they want to have an abortion or did whatever they want to do because y'all wasn't in love and all that. But it was like, so I kind of, I thought it was going to kind of go that way. Like, yeah, she'll just scare off and she'll go have an abortion. But it was like, oh crap, somebody who's staying the course. I'm like, yeah, you're going to be a dad, deal with it. It's like, so now I was like, okay, oh crap. And I remember something my uncle, Charles Leonard. I remember one day we had a conversation. He used to just tell me I never understood what this meant. Till when she said she was pregnant, I realized I didn't have a choice. He said women have choice, men have responsibilities. And I was like, oh, that's what that meant. Either way it goes, it's gonna be my responsibility. So
Right.
I was literally initially scared as hell, but then as I started to warm up to it, Sarah, it was like, okay, you started. I mean, because yeah, it's like this is what it is, and you ain't getting out of it. So it was like, okay, you started looking like I wonder how it's gonna be and what it's gonna be like, and what type of dad will I be in, how will I be in. I mean, it's like, yeah, I think, like I said, again, up to this point, 33 years old, I've did what I wanted, gone where I wanted, came and go as I wanted, answered to nobody, and said
Right.
and apologize to nobody for nothing. So it's like, I gotta change all this. Yeah, I just thought it was gonna hamper my style, and I ain't gonna be this debonair guy I had this image of myself anyway. Clearly, the delusions of grandeur I was having because it exposes to be delusions of grandeur. Um, this gonna cramp my style. I ain't gonna be that fly guy no more. You know, goodbye 20 inch rims and sound system, and here come the caravan. The Plymouth Voyager. But it was actually quite. I'll tell you now, the best thing that has ever happened to me is becoming a father, a dad, being a husband. Best thing that has ever happened. Period. Becoming a father and a dad. So that's why I said God knew what He was doing. He didn't give me the
Yeah.
pen. Yeah, he got to drop you down into the meat grinder. Yeah, but it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. Seriously, best thing that ever happened. No matter how
So now you
frustrated
got
I get.
three. Okay. So now you got these three boys. What kind of activities do you do with them other than take them to get their haircuts?
Well, Sky's in the basketball. Just really trying to get Sky to grasp the concept of riding this bike. They love riding their bikes. We all like going bike riding. Sky and Ziggy like going out to the park, basketball. Bray plays football for Chippewa Valley, so that's his thing. So sometimes if I had time, we would go out, toss the football around. They love going to the movies, hanging out. I mean, your typical childhood, really. Is anything, when we force him out the house, Bray by Bray being a little older now, 14, he's starting to get to that point where now he's teenage. He wants to hang out now and go out with his friends and all
Friends who
that.
don't
And
want to be around you.
yeah,
Yeah.
so right, oh yeah, he don't want to be around, bother me or my wife. Don't want to hear nothing we gotta say. And it's like, okay, yeah, we have to let life make you malleable and soften you up a little bit. And we'll talk.
Yeah.
I catch you on the rebound. But the other two little ones, they still love dad and Ziggy. That's my guy, the 4 year old. So that's my co-defendant there, Ziggy. So when he get out of preschool, because he just started preschool this semester. So he come out, he want to go outside and ride his bike now. That's his new thing. He done learn how to ride that bike. So I'm training wheels, and like I said, getting Sky to ride his bike, his new bike, and just so those are the things we do. Sky has a he's his father's child. He's just like me. His imagination is, I mean, when I was little, probably being the only child, my imagination was huge. I can go anywhere and play by myself. I can travel, do anything by myself. And I used to have people like, man, they were like, I admire you. You don't have to have nobody around you. But like I wasn't used to coming up. I know how to get in the wind by myself. Now, even though he has siblings, Sky still has that part of me. And I see it like he can do his own thing. He don't care. Sky be off in his own world. And just yeah, imagination just
So the two oldest, Sky and Bright, do you ask them what do they want to do? I mean, Bray, when they get older, are they talking about basketball, doctor, lawyer? Have you got that far? Are they even talking about after school?
Bray is dead set on the NFL. He loves football. He actually has a natural talent for it. So he's dead set. When I tell you NFL, my thing is trying to get him to understand, have a backup plan, a contingency plan.
Right.
Like because if you go, like I told him, you go to school, you're gonna have to maintain your grades anyway. So might as well study something that you will want to fall back on. Because I had to be real with him. That NFL NBA dream is cool and it's good, but that's people don't understand how hard it is to break into that market and really crack that. So it's
Right.
like have a contingency plan, have something to fall back on. So in case that don't happen, or even if it did, you got injured, you still be good. You'll be able to keep on rolling. So Bray is dead set on he don't want to be. He wants to go away to school. He don't want to be in Michigan no more, and he doesn't say anything but NFL. Ziggy, of course, being 4, yeah, good luck with that. Ziggy changed about a minute. Now Sky is funny. Sky again, Sky wants to be a police officer. Oddly enough, he
Like
after
father,
watching
like
me,
son.
yeah, watching me at DMC, and watching me leave and go to transit police, and then me going through the academy twice, and then coming out. So that's one thing. They've always seen me be a hard worker, take care of them, take care of home, take care of their mother. And it's like that. Sometimes it's not about teaching them what to do. Sometimes you're showing them what not to do as well. And
Right.
it's like Sky. But right now, what Sky says is that he want to be a police officer. So I was like,
Cool.
I'm like, yeah, well, you can be that, but know that you can be whatever you want to be. You don't just have to be that because that's what I do. Be whatever you want to be, but that's where your heart is. Hey, have at it.
So, what other values do you teach them other than taking care, having a contingent plan? What other types of values have you taught them?
Oh, respect. Key. First off, big on courteous, polite, respectful, humble, humility. All the time, humble. Because they'll hear me say something like, yo, on my best day, I'm a filthy rag. I'm a dirty rag even on my best day. And they're like, well, yeah, dirty rag, kids like a dirty rag. Like, no, I'm just meaning you're humble, son. You're humble.
Right.
Carry humility with you wherever you go. Because it's like I jokingly, especially in the street dealing with citizens, how they say to protect and serve
Right.
our battle craft police officers, or whatever, our mantra, motto, whatever you want to call it. I
Right.
reversed it. I said to serve, not to protect and serve. I said to serve and protect, because I was like, especially in Detroit, we got this protection part down to a science. We got the Detroit Bum Rush named after us. So that don't come from being meek, and humble. So I was like, but to serve, and I had this conversation with a couple of young officers, like to serve is so much harder than the protection part, because you have to digress, you have to be humble, you take a lot, you absorb
Act.
a lot. So to serve, but for me, it's always been very important. Like I said, loving the citizens and loving my job. Serve with all capitals for me. That word is all caps. To serve. So that's some of the biggest things I try to teach them is, man, being responsible, being on time, punctual. Because I tell them all the time, when you're early, you're on time. You're on time, you're late. Like my dad would tell me, just like I said, that respect. I'm huge on that. And it'll come back in little ways when you're not even looking for it, because people are always like, oh, you have such manner, so mannerable, so they're so this, they're so that, they're so polite. Oh, y'all doing a great job with them. And it's like, okay, so maybe I am going in the right direction. Because some days I've
Yeah.
had times in my frustration where I be talking to my wife, I'm like, man, this dad thing. Some days I don't know, I'm like I'm dropping the ball. Like, oh God, like especially with the teenagers, like, man, Jesus Christ, help me, give me strength. Like, so I'm like, some days, hey, second guessing and questioning some things. Like, oh, okay, I'll f that one up. You don't get like you, every day. As long as you listen, every day is a new chance to try to get it right. Get another chance. You ain't gonna. Nobody got it. I don't believe everybody gets it right every day. You drop the ball, you mess up. Just hopefully it's not so bad and egregious to where you can't bounce back.
Right. Yeah. That's good. That's good. So, what qualities do you value the most in yourself?
Uh, just my sense of family, my sense of loyalty, my again the respect thing, how hard working I am, where I do anything to take care of them and for them.
Yeah.
That protective part of me, of how I view them and what I will do to protect them and keep them safe. So all those things, it's the man I am, period. Because it's funny when you say, you like, well, what type of dad and what type of man did you? It's like, well, I had no blueprint, honestly, Sarah. I'm really writing it as I go. Like, don't get me wrong. Like my grandma and granddad, they weren't together; they were separated. And little fun fact: my grandfather was of no blood relation to me. He just
Oh,
they were never married or anything. They just were together all my life. Well, not all my life, but like from the time I was 3 days old, they took me home from the hospital. My mother didn't. My mother had me and I disappeared into the wind. From 3 days old, I left the hospital because they knew. And I remember him telling the story. He was saying like he remember looking down at that little head, and he's like, I instantly fell in love with you. He's like, I knew then it was clear what we had to do. because your mother wasn't right, and we knew what we had to do. So I left the hospital with them, and that's why they've always been that's the only mom and dad I ever known. So when you say what type of man or what type of father I want to be, you got to think growing up in the hood, Sarah. Like I grew up in that Cass Quarter area, what they call Midtown, now the projects, Freedom Homes, all that. I Yeah, think about being old. I'm trying to figure out how to get money and run the streets and be a knucklehead and get girls. I'm the father, all that. I was like, I never wanted kids, and definitely didn't think about being married. I thought I was going to be some gangster somewhere off in Miami, get money, and whatever. Hell, I didn't see this, but again, God had a different plan, and I think his plan worked out so much better than mine.
Oh,
Because
sounds like it.
mine was rooted in stupidity and ignorance for real. But it was like, so when you say what type of father, what type of man I wanted to be, I've been writing that as I go, just trying to be, good and righteous and doing what I know is right and doing right by him. So, and I so I guess I would want to be the type of man I am now. If I had to go back to it.
Is there a lesson that you learned the hard way that you share with your sons? Is it something you learned the hard way? Like sometimes, you say your father keep telling you to do this and do that, and you be like, oh, he don't know what he's talking about, and you didn't listen, and then you like, ooh, ooh, maybe I should
Hmm.
have, or not even your father, anybody, some lesson that you learned, even like some of your friends, people like your grandma say, you shouldn't be with that little boy, he's a troublemaker. Is it any lesson that you've had that you share with your sons when he, think he knows everything?
Oh, quite a few actually, but some of the biggest ones is telling them stop letting the money burn a hole in his pocket because I learned that the hard way. Every dollar,
Okay.
sometimes where you're at financially is a result of what you did with every dollar as it came to your hands to this very moment.
Mhm.
And when you grow up poor, you tend to, you're gonna blow your money because you finally start getting it. You want to look nice, and you look nice, you feel good, and it's like I try to tell my oldest now because he kind of you got that, many years. Somebody want to blow through his money. Like, listen, man, just save your money. This stuff
Right.
fly by night. It's like nothing. No thing ever defines who and what you are, and I had to learn it the hard way because I thought having certain things and trying to keep up with the Joneses and looking a certain way and none of that crap matter. None of it matter. Like do and another big lesson I had to learn the hard way. Learn to give your ears the same opportunity you give your mouth. Never miss an opportunity to shut the hell up and listen. You know, oh Jesus, yeah, because I always had that last word. And Sky, my middle one, is just like that now. He gets it honest. I tell my wife something like, "Oh, he get that crap honest," because it's like I was, you know, he you tell Sky something, he ready, he ate and ready for the world. I'm like, Sky, do you just be quiet, man? Like, geez, but dad, and I'm just like, no, but dad, like, just why am I debating with a 7-year-old, 8-year-old? Like, no, just shh. So those are some of the things I try to instill, like really, you know, like that one you already heard the story of the old owl that sat on the oak, right? It was an old owl who sat on the oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard, the more he heard, the more he learned. Those types of things under that tenet. Like, listen, just listen, watch. Because people telling you stuff even when they're not telling you stuff. So I'm not listen. Listen, be cool, save your money, put something away for a rainy day. Those things I try to really instill. The academics, really excelling in school, giving yourself that advantage because you still kind of behind the eight ball, truthfully. But it's like give yourself every advantage. Take your studies serious because I didn't. And I tell that to my oldest one. Like, yeah, you talk about the NFL, and thankfully all of them are pretty good in school.
Good.
But it's like I was kind of like I've always been smart, but just kind of a little rambunctious. That if it didn't capture my interest or attention, I could get kind of squirrely and be like a gnat with the attention span of a gnat all over the place. But
Mhm.
I try to really instill that, like take your studies, take school serious now, because I didn't, and as a result, like I told them, because I remember my son playing football every Thursday. He has a game right now for the season. And my middle one, Schuyler Jr., is like, Dad, he's like, you can't just get out of work to come to me because I don't get to make any games. I'm always at work. And I tell him, like, man, yeah, this is why you take your studies, you take that opportunity. Like, this is why you take school serious. So you don't be doing back breaking labor or at a job, period, or a career move where you have to constantly, you're always there a lot. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
do the things that you don't want to do now, so that later you can do what you want to do. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I didn't do that. See, earlier, I did what I wanted to do early on. Now you, so to speak, like I said, I love what I do. Don't get me wrong. What you got to do, the things you may not necessarily want to do, or be at work maybe a little longer than you care to be sometimes. Where and I had people then telling me, but I was whatever. I ain't trying to hear that. I'm do what I want to do. So I'm really trying to drive that home. Whether it takes hold and they actually listen, time gonna reveal that. You know.
Right. Right. Yeah. Um. So, uh, do you allow them to try new stuff and fail? Like if when I'm saying I want to learn how to skateboard, would you let them, or if they say I want to do X, Y, and Z, do you let them try new things? And even if you could see, well, you're not really, set for that, but will you let them try? Like if they say I want to play the drums or I want to play the piano, you know, are you let them do new things, introduce them to new things that, you know,
Absolutely, because again, coming up with Sarah, I had none of those opportunities. So, like at one point, the two oldest ones wanted to try karate. They did that. Really wasn't they thing. You know what I'm saying? Uh, get out. The smallest one, believe it or not, likes to skateboard. So I'm always about them trying new stuff, whether it be
okay,
food, activities. Because one, they have a lot more afforded to them with me and my wife than I ever did. And I don't like when I look at it now, because I tell people I don't play sports. I've never been interested in sports, all that. A lot of things, when you look back at it, I wasn't exposed to much of anything.
right,
You know what I'm saying? So I remember Chuck one day saying with his son, he was like, "Man, had we given you the same opportunities we gave Christopher, you probably would have been a doctor or a lawyer. No telling where you would have went had you had." And the R was just him saying, "Had you had that exposure." I wasn't exposed so much, except for just my environment, and that's kind of what they say. Sometimes you are a product of your environment, because when you look at some of the things I did in my teenage years and my early 20s that I'm not so proud of, it's like that was product. That was because I never bought into peer pressure, because I never did anything I didn't want to do. You couldn't If I didn't want to do it, I don't care how much you tried to. I've never bought into the notion of peer pressure ever, because my thing is, if I if you come to me and say, "Hey, try this," I was already thinking about it anyway. Hell, let's go, let's try it. But the things I didn't want to do, Sarah, you could talk all day to the sun, to the cows come home. I'm not doing it. You can pressure all day. But I kind of somewhat was, I hate to say it stereotypically, but I was kind of a product of my environment. So I wasn't exposed to much. Like, so yeah, anything they, for the most part, within reason, they want to try, absolutely. Because you never know where that idea or that spark might be for them, that takes off and could change their life forever in the greatest of ways. So yeah, I'll never. Oh yeah, we definitely encourage that. So when they say they want to try something, they want to do something, like they've been, like I had never been camping ever. They've been camping. They went off. I never went to summer camps. They've been to summer camps. They traveled. Hell, we were taking family vacations. We'd never had a family reunion with my family. We had never had a family vacation. We had never traveled anywhere. As a result, I love to travel now. When I'm afforded that luxury, I love to travel. So yeah, I definitely encourage all those experiences. That's where it's at. It's in the
mm-hmm.
experience, Sarah. So yeah, I encourage all that. When they come and they want to try something, absolutely. We've always been supportive of it. Granted, that is within reason. Yeah.
Right. So, what skills do you think are most valuable in being a dad?
Patience, listening. Let me tell you something. Patience. They used to say patience is long suffering. I didn't know what the hell that meant. I know. I sit here now in front of you. Oh, when they tell you patience is long suffering, dealing with being a husband and just having a family, being a dad. Oh, listening. Just yeah, those are some of the biggest things for me that speak to me, because it's like just being able to communication. See, and that's even to the kids or to the wife. This community, it's because people say, "Oh yeah, well you get communication," but I don't think anybody ever fleshed it out what that really meant. Because I can start yelling right now at you. Am I communicating? Absolutely. Is it effective or efficiently?
Oh,
No,
gotcha.
it's not. You see what I'm saying? So it
Right.
is a form of communication, but it's like to be able to effectively and efficiently communicate. That's where it becomes key, especially with the kids. It's like again with the 14-year-old, he at that age now, he ain't trying to hear nothing nobody saying. So like, and I've kind of got to that point now. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to let them crash and burn. Let them. I mean, I ain't gonna let him get too far out there. But
Right.
now you get to that point, it's like, because he has an answer to everything. Tell him to do something, okay, all right, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, let me know how that work out. I'll be
Yeah.
laughing. I understand that too, because my granddad was saying, well, I came in one day when my granddad was alive, and he used to love watching Law and Order. That was his show. And I was
Okay.
up, I was on a tangent, a tirade about something. I don't forgot what it was. It was about 21, 22. But whatever it was, I was up in arms about it. Like a wacky flailing arm, two flailing, man. I'm just going. And he's like, boy, shut up and sit down. First off, you messing up my show. And he was laughing. He's like, you messing with my show. That bong bong, that was always that
Yeah.
staple was
Yeah.
bong
Yeah.
bong. I'm messing up the theme and the plot because you come in here with all this silliness. And I'm like, why are you laughing at? Why you just tell me sit down, shut up? He's like, boy, because one, I've been your age 3 times at this point. Whatever the hell it is, it don't even really matter. I can promise you, it don't really matter. It's gonna come. This too will come to pass. Trust me. And lo and behold, he was right. So the patience, just having the patience is one thing I try to just have patience. Patience, and that's something that I always felt like I wanted to be in control and try to control the board and do everything. But
Oh,
life
yes.
and God has a funny way of bringing you to your knees and humbling you.
Oh, most
Oh
definitely.
yeah.
Most definitely. Um, got another question here. Oh, do you hug your sons and tell them that you love them before you go to work or before they go to school in case you go to work before they get home? Do you do that?
Actually, they won't let me leave the house. I hug and kiss my boys. Actually, like the two little ones, especially the older one, he too cool for that. So he just always like, "Bye, Dad, love you," real quick and dry. "Bye, Dad, love you." I love you too, bro. But the two little ones, oh yeah, man, it'd be time like, man, they would be. My wife would call me sometimes, like I left out the house and they didn't get. Oh, they be in here crying, like bawling, like yeah, I didn't get to say goodbye. So yeah, with them, I definitely try to make it a habit of saying that. But sometimes we get caught up in life with me and the missus sometimes, and we talk about this, like I won't kiss her going out the door or whatever, or and like yeah. So life can be funny sometimes in the way we operate. We have to constantly remind ourselves and take that initiative and be intentional.
Yes.
But with the kids, it comes a little more. It's like yeah. So definitely, because them two won't let me creep past that room when they see that uniform on. Yeah. They gonna definitely like, bye, Dad, let you home. Wait, wait, wait. We had this little thing we did, like nose bump, fist bump, like Big Six Hero, follow la 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 la, so you started coming with your own little rituals and little things you do with everybody. And they're their own individuals because it's three totally polar opposite personalities. One like this, one like that, one don't like this, one don't like that. This one thinks this, and you're watching them grow into their own people, their own, own person.
Right.
Like, man, you start to see their personalities really emerge and take shape and form, their values and what they think and how they feel. And that's another thing I had to learn sometimes not to be so, I don't say in the back, but so draconian because your dad, and it's like sometimes do what I say, bam,
Right.
bam.
Right.
Had to learn to digress a little and all right, fall back. Everything ain't gotta be so, everything gotta be a battle. My wife, that's one thing she definitely teaches me, and we had conversations like, babe, everything ain't gotta you know, just relax, breathe, you know, like come in fussing, as they say, come in
Gotta have your.
fussing. So
So, does your work schedule allow you to attend parent teacher conferences with your wife, or you know?
not really, and that's what I kind of alluded to that not too long ago. I don't really get to go to sporting events or do anything, so she is definitely the one that you will see at a lot more events. And even if like sometimes you had a schedule if there's a gap in it, I can get to a teacher conference thing. Thankfully, I've been able to see them all off the school on the first day. If it's something major, graduations, little plays or recitals, I'll get to. But just the day to day stuff. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, excuse me, y'all. It's definitely the wife. She she is the rock. She's the one because, like she said, she don't never want the kids to look out if they're doing something. Nobody's there that they know or represent them or nobody. So she's always there for everything. Me, and it's kind of understood. I try to do a good job of explaining to the kids, like all this crap that y'all like, Netflix and Hulu, all these video games, and hey, listen, it will move. Yeah, I know I'm not here, but understand all these amenities that you enjoy. So just be quiet, shut up, and be sure to tip your server on the way out the door. Like, no, but seriously, I try to do a good job of explaining that to them, like trying to explain them through it. Like, man, I'm not here because of this, and I have to work, and we have to make sure we this and that and stuff have to be paid.
Right,
Like
right,
even
right.
with my oldest, I was gonna sit down one day because he still doesn't have that quite that concept. They think money just materialized. I'm gonna sit down with him one day and show him what a check look like and where everything, what the overhead is, month to month, mortgage, insurance, car payments, all that, so you can start to understand about the money. Like, cause like I don't sometimes we be disconnected in that way. Like, I mean, no, it don't just come out the air. We ain't just growing it or printing it, even though we wish we were. No, show you how this really worked. Then you have a better understanding and better respect for it. So something I didn't have. That's why I was like, I just knew it was poor, and then I started getting a little money, and I just took off. And I was like, yeah. And I remember one day, kind of hitting rock bottom. I was like, damn, man. And you remember all the conversations people telling you should have put some money up. You should have been more, more frugal, more thrifty, if you will, with your money. It shouldn't have been stuff we just thought we had to have. Lining up like, oh no, So that's yeah.
Yeah. So, have they ever gotten a bad parent teacher report from the from the conference, the teachers conference, and did you have to discipline them, or how do you discipline them when they, you know, uh, hit a bump?
You know what? Times have changed now, and it's like, yeah, if you put your hands on your kids, the sheriff's gonna be at your house, unfortunately. But that's also what's wrong with it. Because let me tell you something. Like they say, it takes a village. At 42, it was a time I messed up. Hey, you gonna get spanked by Miss Johnny May down the street, and then your mama gonna put her foot in your backside. And I think we were ultimately better for it. But now we in such a time and day now where these kids, and I was talking about this, being out there now, Sarah, these kids don't fear nothing and nobody.
Right.
And part of that I believe is because we don't, well, oh, I can't touch him. It's child abuse and this. No, I took runs like that, and I get there like, no, that ain't child abuse. That's just a good old fashioned ass kicking. Like, no, it wasn't no child abuse. Like, but you got it now where hell, the parents scared of the teacher scared of the principal scared of the superintendent scared of the sheriff scared of the county, and it's like meanwhile the kids falling through the cracks and they ain't afraid of nobody, and they running roughshod doing what they want. So yeah, it's been times. Yeah, I had to discipline Bray and getting his backside. Yeah, a couple times he off school, back talking, or maybe he was bullying somebody. I never really bad with the academics. Like I said, Bray has always been pretty good with it. Thankfully, Sky is, and Ziggy. Oddly enough, somebody asked me the other day when we were at the birthday party for Sky. They're like, "How's Ziggy doing in preschool?" I'm like, Ziggy loves school, and I love it because it's like they're already in that excelling better than me, and that's what I want for them to be better than me. So it's like already, I'm loving that. Everybody likes school. That's cool because I hated it, So it's like I'll take it. So, but yeah, it's been times I had to discipline, pop Ziggy on the butt. Maybe he did something, or same thing with Sky, open hand, pop on the butt. Nothing heavy. But now I learned how to get them. You ain't gotta do nothing physical. I started taking video games and cell phones and tablets. Oh my God, they like that. They like be ready to jump out the damn window. Like, oh, like that's because that's their thing now. So I mean, I did, I could collar Bray up and that wouldn't mean nothing. So I took his cell phone. His big at 13 years old, they're crying. Oh, you took my cell phone. First off, let me explain something to you, son. You don't have a cell phone. I took me and your mama. We just we let you borrow this here. You don't have like no. We got phones and stuff. We just graciously lend it to you, let you use it. So I took your cell phone. No, that ain't what happened because the cell phone is a big distraction.
Right.
So he's kind of getting a little beside himself. I was like, okay, no, physical things, whatever. That only goes so far. So it's like,
Right.
oh, I start now. Yeah, you learn how to really check. Go ahead when you get in it. Go ahead, put your phone on the dresser. Put your AirPods on the dresser. Yeah, it's gonna be like that for the next few weeks. So get
Oh.
ready for the withdrawal. Yeah. So, and we'll revisit it in a couple weeks, and we'll reconvene and see where we at and what we're gonna do. If you earned it back, or you changed your attitude, or you changed whatever it is that you did that made us take that luxury, that amenity in the first place. So, yeah.
Wow. Easier than and getting tired of raising your hand at them.
Well,
Just take
yeah.
toys away. Yeah.
That's it. Seriously, yeah. I'm telling you, well, for my kids anyway, but I would imagine it's probably they're no different because all the kids now that's what they're into.
Right.
That's the source. You take that source, you get their undivided attention. You hear me? Undivided
Got
attention.
yeah.
Then they come in doing everything they supposed to do, but that don't even last so long. That's fleeting. They don't do just what they need to do for as long as they need to. And it's rinse and repeat. All right, give it back to them. And then they stay out. I'll be good. I'll be good. They're good for a little bit and they get back out of line. You have to get them back in line. So that's just
Right.
life.
Right.
Long suffering, Sarah. Long suffering.
I
Patience.
hear you. I hear you. So, do they know that if they did do anything, that they could just come to you and talk to you about anything, that you got their back? Do you
You
emphasize that often?
I do in certain ways, and I'm learning to do another. And that's what we was talking about, learning not to be so draconian in some of my methods. And that's when my wife balances me out and smooths me out. Because I think right now they're at a point they will talk to her about anything, me not so much, because they scared of how dad may react or whatever. And I'm trying to mend that part with them because I let like at school, one of them I guess got into a little shoving match or something back and forth with somebody, and he kind of got pushed around because he was so scared of what I was gonna do or how I was gonna react. And like I told him, I ain't never told you to be no punching bag. Now I don't I don't condone being a bully, but I am an advocate. If somebody starts something, I'm gonna finish it. Especially I ain't bothering you, I'm a man of my business. I'm gonna finish it. So same thing for them. I told them, listen, somebody come bothering you, yeah, you try to tell the teacher first that don't work. They want to be persistent. They put their hands on you, hit them back, point blank. Period. You let me deal with what's gonna happen with the principals and the teacher. Don't you worry about that. But you'll
Right.
never get in trouble for you never get in trouble for defending yourself. So let me be clear
Yeah.
about that because they was kind of, oh, I don't want that. No, you never
Mhm.
get in trouble for that. And that was some battles I've had to fight with administrators in school, faculty, had to explain some things, especially out here, especially in the boonies. Having young black children, young black men, it's like, unfortunately, we're in the day and age, sometimes people see the color of your skin before they ever see the content of your character. It's just, let's be honest. And it's like, I don't, this whole docile thing, you think my kid gonna be a punching bag, not gonna
Right.
fly. It's not gonna fly. No. So, yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Real Dad Speak.
The hardest thing about being a single father is being able to get on with your life whilst not seeing your kids as much or at all. When you're around your kids, you feel like everything's okay, and you try to tell yourself that. But as soon as they leave, you want to clutch at them like one of their comfort blankets. You feel like without your kids around, you have no purpose, no hope, and no impact. Sometimes you live in the past and wish you had done things differently. Other times, you live in the future and you're worried and scared about what things will look like. Will there be another man in my children's life? Will I have to start dating women again? And in this place, you're full of fear.
Welcome back, everybody, to Real Dad Speak. We're talking with Schuyler Epperson about raising his 3 young boys to be responsible men. And Schuyler, we've come to the part of the show where I call it my final 5. It's going to be either a question or fill in the blank. So, number 1, what do you think all boys need from their father?
Love and understanding.
All right. Number 2, what are you trying to show your sons about being a man and a dad?
Responsibility and humility. I got to tack that on. Responsibility, respectfulness, humility.
Number 3, if you could go back to your favorite day since you became a dad, what day would you choose and why?
Trying to think of, it's been so many moments. Trying to think which one just really stood out though.
Well, pick 2 or 3.
I think about the day when I first, because I always tell my wife, I don't think it was ever really her. It was something about Bray that really captured me because something said to me I had work to do with him. I had something to do with him. I was meant to be in his life. Um, I go back to Sky being born and me realizing that I had purpose, and then ultimately Zaire's birth, just where I was at in my adult manhood and where we were in a relationship. and how the other two kids looked at that because they were able to, they were there for that. So yeah, I would go back to those moments. Those were definitely some character defining moments.
All right. So number 4, what's one important lesson that fatherhood has taught you?
Responsibility, being responsible. I mean, selflessness. Because I mean, being a father and a dad, I mean, is the most selfless thing or act you can ever do because it's not about you anymore. And realizing that you love someone more than you love yourself. Never thought I saw that day. Like, and I, yeah, I know we don't have time for me going to that. It was a quick story, but the moment I realized it was like that was mind blowing to me. That was mind blowing to me. I remember just sitting there one day. We were having dinner, and I remember looking around the table. I was looking at 3 boys. I was looking at my wife, and I kind of started to cry a little. And my wife caught it, but the kids didn't. And she was like, "What's wrong, babe?" I was like, "I just realized that one day I'm gonna have to leave them behind. I'm not gonna always be here. So make sure I had them ready and prepared. I think it's just as important, like as much as you get them, to prepare them for your death too one day, because that's unrealistic to have them thinking that you're gonna always be here. You're not. You know what I'm saying? But I remember when I realized it, it made me cry just a little. We were sitting at dinner and nothing was wrong. It was like, man, I looked around, I was having a good time. And I'm like, man, I'm not going, wow. It dawned on me like I'm not going to always be here.
Wow.
So I have to get them ready, I have to get them ready.
All right, number 5, fill in the blank. If I won the Mega Millions or Powerball, I would blank.
Say what? Say it again. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I beg you.
I'll say it like this. This is you finishing this sentence. If I won the Mega Million or the Powerball, I would blank.
Oh, we would travel the world. We would travel the world. I wouldn't work as much because I love what I do. I wouldn't work nearly as much and travel the world. Try and expose them to everything that is good. Everything, that exposure. So that's usually what it is. Money is, that resources. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on the show. It was very entertaining.
I'm glad I was able to, make y'all get that late chuckle before we start this work week, start the work week off right, So yeah, I'm glad I was able to contribute to that.
Thank you very much. Well, everybody, thank you for watching the show. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Real Dad Speak. A new episode comes out every Tuesday, 7 p.m. on YouTube and Spotify. Thanks for joining us.